First half in the books in Sacramento. A little bit of a sleepy half. The Kings, big play from De'Aaron Fox to close it out. 56-52. Gordo, my dog, wants to chime in. Jerry, how you doing today?
Well, it's the kind of game a dog ought to have something to say about it.
Jerry, I think so. He's
know,
he's seen all this good food on Easter, and let him have
yeah,
some fun.
kind of definitely a meandering half. I thought the Kings, with about 3 minutes to go in the half, were starting to separate themselves, and they've just given up too many really wide open, comfortable
Yeah.
threes. It's like I just, to me, if I had a criticism, I mean, they seem to want to double. They're treating the Utah Jazz like they're the Dallas Mavericks, and
Yeah.
play these guys straight up. They can't. You don't need to double anybody on this team.
Yeah, Jerry, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And I get Utah's a little smaller with the exception of Walker Kessler. But also when the Kings are on defense, it looks like Utah's trying to spread them out, and that's causing problems.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's definitely. I think it's the pace of the game fits Utah. They've make sure they're getting in the half court and using time. The Kings haven't really been able to push up and get the game up and down. I mean, the faster the pace, the better it's going to be for the Kings. The more
Certainly.
talented team, you want more possessions, not fewer possessions. And like I say, this is so far. This is probably exactly what Coach. Uh, of the Jazz, Will Hardy would like. I mean, basically a nice little half-court game.
There's no doubt. I mean, it doesn't look like a team, Jerry. Usually when teams roll in here, we say they don't look like a, 8-loss team or an 8-loss in a row team. Utah looks the part. And Keegan Murray tonight, he seems to be the spark. He seems to be the consistent one again. And silently, he's shooting the ball well, yet the Kings aren't going to him as much as I think they should. What are you seeing that's being successful for Keegan?
Well, they need to find him. I mean, and Keegan's never going to be the kind of beg for the ball. But, I mean,
Yeah.
they really need to find him, and they can. I mean, he's not being defended that well. So, I think that would be, certainly criticism, something they need to look for in the second half. And I think defensively, as much as I like Keon Ellis, I think he's been over pressing a little bit. He's been beat off the dribble
Interesting.
a lot in that first half, and so he needs to just stay in front of his man better, a little more like Davion. This is not. Basically do that a little more. And I guess the third thing, I kind of wish Fox, when he penetrates and draws 2 or 3 guys, find a little drop off pass, find the open guys around the basket a little better. Sometimes the shot's just not there.
Jerry, it's funny you bring that up. Mike Brown, a lot of the season he said, let it fly, let it fly. Now it's kind of come back a little bit. We need 35 to 43s. We need to take into consideration or take shot selection into consideration. But after the last game, he said, we only had a couple sprays in the second half. And when a guy gets doubled or he gets that attention from anybody, he wants the ball moving. And to me, that's a direct shot at De'Aaron Fox. If you're De'Aaron Fox, do you have to move the ball or are you going to the rim?
Well, I think with De'Aaron, if in fact he really gets in there and gets clean looks at 12, 15 feet, that's fine. But I think, we're seeing sometimes teams, and both he and Domas, they're getting, teams know that these guys are the key. So they're running a second defender at them just about in all circumstances, especially in the paint. And it's easy to get to us. A guy in the paint with the second defender. And I think both are a little slow to realize where that second defender is and coming from to kick the ball out. It's one of those things that once the double team is formed, there's no advantage for you then. And so, move it as the defender is before he gets to you and traps you. And then they're in trouble.
Right, you got to have that foresight. Domas is great at that at times. There's no doubt about that.
Generally he is. I mean, at times though he tries to maybe I've noticed. I mean, he keeps it a little too much, thinking he can play through a double team, and that's I always say that even Akeem Olajuwon figured out later in his career that he couldn't do that either. He became a good passer.
Yeah, you learn how to pass. All things considered, with the loss of Malik Monk, the Kings up for 56-52. Jerry Reynolds joining us here on If You Don't Like That. The Kings, not much of a transition game there in that first half. Only 4-point fast break points. The Jazz 3. Jerry, we saw some different combinations from Mike Brown, which we expected.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any combinations you saw that you liked? And is there a combination that you didn't see that you're kind of thinking about?
Well, about the only combination I really liked in the first half was Keegan Murray and Domas Sabonis being on the floor.
Yeah, and Domas was quiet for the first quarter. It
Yeah,
wasn't
really.
until that second quarter.
No, really second and a lot on just hustle plays and
Yes.
scrap, which is what he does. But yeah, I don't think there's any real exciting part of that first half. I mean, I like the idea of Kessler Edwards getting minutes. I think it looks like he's earned it, and they need to. And Coach Brown knows he's got to find some other player he can count on, and maybe Kessler's that guy. Now, Trey Lyles is back and all that, but to me, I still think Keon and Davion are going to be really valuable players. I don't think
Yes.
necessarily they had a great first half, but I've got a lot of faith in both those guys. I think they'll come through, and they have to. I mean, they're the ones. Probably you need those two guys to be very productive to make up to some degree for Monk. I don't know that you can.
Yeah, no doubt. And you touched on it. Trey Lyles and Sasha returned tonight. They've both been out for an extended period of time. So, Jerry, realistically, what do you expect from them right now? And how long do you think it'll take for them to get their legs under them?
Well, I think with Trey, it shouldn't take long. I mean, but I think with Sasha, he wasn't playing a lot before the injury. So,
Good
just
point.
to get back comfortable playing, and I don't know if Coach Brown really knows exactly where he wants to use him. And so, but I do, I think probably they would like to find out if Sasha can be that consistent scorer and player off the bench, like it looked like maybe he was going to be, but he hadn't
Yeah.
really got there yet. So yeah, and he's been out so long. But I think it's a key for the Kings. You're exactly right. I think they've got to find a way to play Sasha and to see just exactly what he can give them.
Yeah, and should have fresh legs. It might not be real strong legs right now, but fresh, definitely.
Yeah.
Jerry, the Kings here in the second half, what are you looking for to start off the quarter? Is there something you didn't see in the first half that you think is essential for them here in the second?
I think just ball pressure. I mean, get up, get after them, pick them up before, as soon as you can, man
Yeah.
on man. Get a little nasty. We need a little shitbird action out there. Get after him, make somebody mad. You don't have to. You're not trying to win a social justice contest out there. Good, get out after them. But I think that the more you can press, the more you can force the tempo. Press, run and press and run. I mean, the more the faster that you can make this game, the better it is for the Kings.
Absolutely. And Jerry, we haven't had you on since the Dallas loss. We talked at halftime. You and I both thought the Kings were going to come out on that one. They didn't. What are your general takeaways and thoughts coming out of that game?
Well, I think, it's been a kind of a consistent thought for me, and, that the Kings really more than maybe any good team, I just don't think they have any really need plays they can go to. They just kind of try to keep in the free flowing thing. But I think, down the stretch of games, the defense gets tougher. It gets tougher to get baskets. I think you really need some set plays or ways you think you can get the ball to certain scores in certain situations. It's like if you're the Mavs, I mean, certainly Doncic and Irving just can go create at any time. But it's also true they create space for them. To do that. I mean, they give them sides of the floor, the ball in certain situations. So that would be the thing I just think this team has got to get better at, just deciding in the last 4 or 5 minutes that you really have got to. You can't just depend on Fox to go get you a good clean shot every time, because teams now know that's what the Kings want him to do, and maybe LeBron in his prime could do that, but not many others.
Jerry, yeah, the Kings want De'Aaron Fox to get that shot, but what exactly is the shot that you think the Kings want? Do you want him to be more aggressive going to the hoop or the three ball? I've gotten a lot of comments here in the first half about De'Aaron not being as aggressive.
Well, I think with De'Aaron, I think his best game is really trying to be aggressive and whether he can get to the basket. But I think he creates so much pressure on the defense, he can get that 10, 12-foot shot. And certainly he can draw fouls, but he's going to make 70-80% of those. And that's an awfully good shot. Now, I'm not against him shooting three. I mean, certainly if he's got his feet set and they're giving him the shot, he's got to take that shot, especially if the basket's full. But
yeah,
I think he needs, in my opinion, he really needs to be searching for that 10-footer. And then if they close out on that, that's when you get to the basket.
Yeah, and Jerry, in all reality, this is his team right now. This is his team to take over the top. And really, if you want to take a step back, an opportunity to take that leap to superstardom, if he can take this injured team through this period of time and possibly get Malik Monk back for what could be a playoff run.
Well, Fox is, I mean, I agree. I mean, offensively, there's no one that can create shots on this team like De'Aaron Fox. And, and I agree with you. I think for this team with the schedule left to have any success, he really needs to have one of his best 9-10 game stretches. And so that's just what it is, because this team, he's probably going to need to average 30 points a game for the team to have a chance for, and he's capable. We know he's capable. And so, we'll just have to see. But I think that, I mean, certainly Sabonis is going to do what Sabonis does. And I think, Keon and Davion and I think with the other, certainly I think Harrison's trying to be more aggressive, and I like that. But I do think the key besides Fox is get more shots for Keegan.
Yes.
Just get more for him. I mean, don't count on him. Make sure that he's getting the ball and with a chance to make shots.
I'm 100% with you, Jerry, and I want to get some predictions in a second because we got to wrap up. They're going to be going back. The Kings lead 56-52, headed back into the second half in just a couple minutes. After the Mavs games, Mike Brown talked a lot about targeting matchups. He said it 2 or 3 times. Do you see, I think we already established the Kings need to do a little bit more of that, but do you see any matchups tonight that you think they need to be more aggressive on?
Well, I don't, mainly because I don't think there's any problems. I mean, you're not really talking about, defensively, they've got no real stoppers out there. And so I think you should just be focused on what you're good at. Do what you're good at offensively, and that should be fine. And, certainly if it's a case where they had a true star that you wanted to get in foul trouble or attack,
sure.
Like I've heard people, talk about Luka, which, he's playing hurt and is not a great defender anyway. And I think, you should try to attack a guy like that if you can, but it's not as easy as people think. I mean, it's 24-second clock. If you want to spend 16 seconds trying to find him, you may not get a shot. So I was through that years ago, and I'd always remember people talking about, they gotta, teams will come in and hunt Spud Webb, try to get him, and it never worked.
Well, he
was so quick. I mean, it just is one of those things that even with his size disadvantage, so often time they could hunt him and find him, the clock was running down. They had to force something up. It's not.
Yeah.
You can do it, but it's not. You can't just. That's like people saying, "Well, just take it to the basket." Well, maybe somebody's in front of you. They don't want to let you get to the basket. I mean, they're not going to give you permission just because people be aggressive. Well, be aggressive, run over somebody. That's not the
Yeah.
answer.
Yeah, wisdom there. Laying it out as it is, Jerry Reynolds. Real quick, Jerry, the game just started back up. Kings win, Kings lose tonight. Which way are you going?
Kings win. Kings are going to win,
All right.
and they're going to stretch it out here, and we're going to get about 110 to 101 maybe.
Love it. Love it. Jerry, thank you so much for joining us at the half, as you always do. I hope you've had a great Easter. Tell Mrs. Reynolds happy Easter for us as well.
I'll just give her a hug. How's that?
Hey, that works.
Needs a hug. That's all. I'll give her a hug. So anyway, thanks. It's always fun, Ryan.
Thanks, Jerry. We will be back after the game. Grant and I breaking everything down, open phones as well. Enjoy the second half.